Daniel Cormier versus Jon Jones will go through the Ultimate Fight Simulator, where I will be simulating 3 fights in a 2 out of 3 series to determine my prediction for their real fight, which takes place in Anaheim at the Honda Center for UFC 214, which takes place this Saturday, July 29th on pay-per-view. Jon Jones making his much anticipated return in the most anticipated rematch in UFC history, or if not one of, Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz, Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, GSP Matt Hughes. There's a lot of, or GSP BJ Penn. There were a lot of great rematches back in the day, but this is definitely up there. Daniel Cormier, who is looking to defend his UFC light heavyweight championship for the 3rd time, while trying to avenge his one and only loss to the former title holder Johnny Bones Jones. As you can see from the tail of the tape, they're 2 years older now. So Daniel Cormier is 38, Jon Jones is 30, and obviously Jon Jones has the reach and height advantage. So we'll see how Daniel Cormier deals with that this time around. There he is, Johnny Bones Jones, who is on a 13-fight winning streak, coming off he hasn't fought in a year, but his last win was a unanimous decision over Ovince St. Preux back in April of 2016 at UFC 197 to win the interim UFC light heavyweight title, only for that to be stripped after a potential violation, which caused USADA to suspend him a year, and it cost him the title. Daniel Cormier was on a 4-fight winning streak. Last fought in Buffalo at UFC 210 in April. This past April, not last year, where he defeated Rumble Johnson again. Second round submission, second round rear naked choke. And there it is. They touched gloves. Who says they can't get along? I feel the love in the air. But anyway, it's first round. Both fighters are trading blows, much like the real fight. And DC clinches up with Jon Jones. This is where he feels most comfortable. But Jon Jones isn't so bad in the clinch. A Greco-Roman wrestler. And Daniel Cormier throws Jon Jones over his head. And gets the mount. Daniel Cormier, a former Olympic wrestler, former heavyweight, won the Strikeforce Heavyweight Grand Prix. Back when he was in Strikeforce. Daniel Cormier is 8-1 in the UFC, and 7-1 since moving down to light heavyweight. It's going to be interesting to see what happens this time around when Daniel Cormier weighs in. I know the California State Athletic Commission has a new procedure when it comes to the weight cut, so I don't think it will be too bad for Daniel Cormier. Hopefully the towel won't be an issue. Hopefully there won't be any towel needed, as Jon Jones gets Daniel Cormier in the mount and pounds him, which won't be too surprising if he does that. But Daniel Cormier shakes Jon Jones off his back and brings the fight back to his feet, only for Jon Jones to take Daniel Cormier back down. Last fight, Jon Jones fought with a year-long layoff. He didn't do too well, and that was his last fight against OSP. So it's going to be tough to predict which Jon Jones shows up on July 29th as Daniel Cormier finishes the round strong. And look at those editing skills. I'm working on it. As Jon Jones knocked down Daniel Cormier 10 seconds into the second round with a nasty elbow, as Jon Jones gets the mount, only to go back to half guard. Those elbows are lethal. Ask Brandon Vera. Who else is there? Who's he finished with elbows? Chael Sonnen. Who else is there? Who else did he finish with elbows? Vladimir Matyushenko from the Crucifix. Him and Kenny Florian have the best elbows in the game as Daniel Cormier brings the fight back to his feet. John Jones with a leaping Superman punch, which misses wildly as Daniel Cormier takes advantage. There's been a lot of talk about John Jones' jiu-jitsu game heading into UFC 214. It's going to be interesting to see how he does against Daniel Cormier on the ground. He was pretty successful in the first fight. We'll see if he improves even more. Once again, Mario Yamasaki officiating a fight. I don't know if I could pick the referees, but Mario Yamasaki has been making plenty of appearances in my videos. That's probably why I'm not getting that's why my videos aren't getting that many views, or I'm not getting any subscriptions, as Daniel Cormier goes for a guillotine. Daniel Cormier only has he has 6 submission wins on his record, but he only has 2 types of submission. There's only been 2 ways that he has won via submission. One is via rear naked choke, and the other is punches. Daniel Cormier's ground and pound is pretty disgusting. Whoa! As John Jones finishes the round with a Superman punch off the cage. Let it be known that this is the last time I'm using that transition, that rotating transition. I was using the what was it called? The static transition on Share Factory, and I don't know, it was a bit loud. Maybe I'll go back to it, but I think it's better than it's probably better than this rotating transition. I had to cut a few seconds off the video just so I can do the commentary. Share Factory only has a 50-minute limit, so, and I was at 16 minutes, so I had to cut a bit off the video. I didn't do too bad, did I? But anyways, if you're watching this video, please leave a comment below on who you think will win this main event at UFC 214. It's going to be a stacked card. It's a crazy card. It's unbelievable. Better than UFC 213. The real UFC 213. This should have been at International Fight Week. We got 3 title fights. We got Robbie Lawler versus Donald Cerrone. Who else is there? Can't believe I don't remember, but that's probably because there are so many fights to choose from as John Jones gets on top of Daniel Cormier as he looks for the crucifix. But Daniel Cormier slips out. Round number 3? Or is that 4? That's round 4. Holy smokes, that's quick. Yeah, I decided to do highlights rather than record the whole thing live because it's way too long. There's going to be a lot of silence if I just don't edit it and just record from start to finish and commentate. There's a lot of scrambling between these two. And 15 minutes is much better than 40 minutes. 3 minutes to go. Daniel Cormier on top, and he's just mixing it up on the ground with ground and pound to the body, to the face, but John Jones ends up taking his back. John Jones is a bad man. He looked pretty mad during the interview at UFC Long Island with Brian Stann, when Brian Stann was interviewing both fighters. And if you thought that was bad, you should see them on Instagram, on Twitter. These two are going at it nonstop. And I think it's gonna be the same when it comes to the fight. A lot of back and forth action. Now DC takes Jon Jones back, and probably gonna end up on top, or go for a choke. And he ends up on top on mount. I don't know if he can submit Jon Jones with punches as he goes for an Americana. Yeah, it'll be a while before we see another fighter submit to strikes in the UFC. Oh, and there it is. Daniel Cormier knocked out Jon Jones in the crucifix with punches and elbows for the 4th round KO to retain his UFC light heavyweight championship. Not just yet, but he does score on the board with a 1-0 lead on the UFC Ultimate Fight Simulator. It's a bit of a tongue twister, but we'll figure it out. There he is, and still, Cormier defeats Jones. Look at that! Look at those editing skills. Daniel Cormier leads the series 1-0 on the Ultimate Fight Simulator. See if Jon Jones can bounce back, or if DC sweeps Jon Jones. Just to quickly recap on how the Ultimate Fight Simulator did for UFC Long Island. Went 3-1. We got the Rivera prediction right. Got the Cummins prediction right, which was very shocking. I really thought Gian Villante would win. But, Patrick Cummins won. He pulled it out. Decision. I got the Elkins one wrong. It was a really close fight. It could have gone either way. I'm not mad at the decision, but I did pick Bermuda. Or the UFC 2 said Bermudez would win. And in the main event, Chris Weidman got the finish as UFC 2 predicted. But UFC 2 said the first round, and Chris Weidman submitted Kelvin Gastelum in the third with an arm triangle. So we'll see how the Ultimate Fight Simulator does for UFC 214 this Saturday. So look forward to Tyron Woodley versus Damian Maia for the UFC Welterweight Championship. I'm going to be doing Robbie Lawler versus Donald Cerrone. Aljamain Sterling versus Renan Barão. I believe I'm going to do that at 130. I don't remember if it was 135 or 145 because the fight is a catchweight bout at 140. And then lastly, I'm going to do Kailin Curran versus Alexandra Albu. So those are going to be all the fights for UFC 214 that the Ultimate Fight Simulator is going to do. Jon Jones going for the Daniel Cormier going for the Americana again, and he's in crucifix, and Jon Jones is stuck in the crucifix again. Oh, that's not good. Elbows and punches, and he knocks him out again in the first round. Daniel Cormier knocks out Jon Jones. He does exactly the same thing he does in the first fight, but he does it all in the opening round. He went for even the Americana. The Americana attempt was all the same before the finish in the crucifix position. First round knockout in the second fight as Daniel Cormier sweeps the series. He sweeps Jon Jones. Not sure how much it matters, but look at the results at UFC Long Island. Let's see how accurate this fight is this time around. So the obvious prediction is for UFC, for the Ultimate Fighter Simulator, is the Ultimate Fight Simulator. Holy smokes, is Daniel Cormier via knockout. But we'll see when he does it. That's the question. When does he do it? And I'm gonna predict the fourth round. Jon Jones is coming off a long layoff, and we'll see if he can hang with him until the fourth round. Anyways, that's it. Subscribe, like, and comment. I'll see you guys tomorrow.